Happy Monday, and welcome here to another edition of Husker Online. Headlines, Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, back from the big Husker games weekend. And Sip, I got to give you credit. You were right. One of the reasons why you didn't get into the media punt competition was because you knew that somebody would have some fun and turn it into something ugly for you. And
well, yeah.
And that's
basically
more or less what happened to me with the official Huskers media accounts with over 1 million followers. And there were three of us participating, Mitch Sherman, Kevin Suits, and myself. And I had to go first. And I dropped the first punt, because I was just kind of getting a gauge for things, honestly.
I missed that, by the way.
And the wind moved it, and I still stuck my hands around to try to pull it in. Should just let it go. Little did I know that somebody was filming me from like a bad angle on slow-mo.
Slow-mo was the key.
And, with my face expressions. And I think I'm the first ever person to publicly get roasted by the official Huskers handles.
It's really amazing.
And, it was fine. Like, show the drop. But, we kind of live in an ugly world, though, where you get a lot of just, I have my wife and daughters and parents in town, and they're all reading the cut. So that was, I didn't enjoy that part of it.
No,
nor would very many people.
No.
But
no, it's not enjoyable to be the butt of jokes.
You
got ambushed.
I got ambushed by somebody I don't even know who did it. But
somebody got a good laugh in a back room,
I want to change this narrative and the story of this in a positive way. And that's me. We're going to tell the full story, and we want to be positive about things. And we had a great time. Mitch, Kevin, and I all had a great time doing the event. As you can see, Coach Rule actually aired my second clip of the punt that I caught right here. And later today, we'll show the punts.
Not an easy catch, by the way.
For the other guys.
Not an easy catch.
But, yeah, we caught 3 punts in a row, the three of us. We each got, after I missed the first one, we went 1, 2, 3. I'm like, let's do something to kind of make this something to remember, maybe build off this for the future. So what we're going to do is between the three of us, HuskerOnline, we're going to make a donation to the Sam Foltz Foundation.
Nice, Sean.
Of $1,000, because who know better to honor and pay homage to than Sam Foltz, the ultimate punter.
I mean, yeah, Sam was incredible, and he would appreciate this. You know that.
So
Sam, you knew Sam as well as anybody in the media, right?
As well as any player I can remember recently. And I talked to his father, Gerald, this morning, told him what happened, told him what we're doing. I'm like, I felt like this needed to be turned into more of a positive thing, because it was a lot of fun. It wasn't just shouldn't be just looked at as some joke where I'm made fun of by everybody. So the three of us are going to, in our name, put a donation towards the Sam Foltz Foundation.
Nice.
And, who knows, this might be something down the road that we continue to do on the spring game, like a punt catching competition where we make a charitable donation to the Foltz Foundation.
You're still not getting me out there, but
I'm not getting you out there.
but yes, I think that's a great idea. And I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, they didn't show even like Kevin and Mitch caught theirs, but they didn't show that didn't fit the narrative that somebody in that little social media hub didn't want to put out there.
Right. So, yeah. And I was talking to Troy Dannon at the time, so I kind of missed it all. But I did look up just in time to see you make that. And I was like, oh my God, that was not easy. You had to, the ball drifted a little bit.
Yeah.
They didn't just kick like 35-yard low punts to you. They were kind of, I don't know.
Well, they hung in the air and they moved.
Am I overstating matters to say they're kind of booming punts? I'm geez. I mean, it was
when you get out there and
blowing.
David Bennings helping us out, Taylor Lewine, Will Compton, Vershawn Jackson, all these guys are out there kind of trying to give you pointers on what to do, where to go.
Yeah. This is you'll never ever. And I said before the show or before the day, 100,000. I do it for 100,000. I wouldn't do it for 100,000. Not what you went through.
They were like, stand there.
I would do it for 200.
Stand here, but then the ball went way over there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, I got to run to this thing and find, it puts into perspective how hard that job is.
Oh, it's a hard job.
Ed Foley comes up to me and goes, "How did you catch that one? That wasn't easy."
No, it was hard.
But they
There's a
had their
lot
fun at my expense, and it is. But again, I want to make this a positive, and we enjoyed it.
Good job.
And thank you to Nebraska for letting us be a part of it. And
good job on the catch too.
and
good
we're honored.
job. I wish I would have seen the other guys, but
yeah, they took. I mean, we all coach our kids. I mean, so we're around it enough with kids stuff. Like we all coach our kids in different sports. I mean, I'm not saying we're great athletes anymore, or we were ever great athletes, but we're around it enough to hopefully catch a football. And we did that.
Yeah.
Other than my opening drop that the world got to see.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So thanks to that. All right, let's get into the show now here on Husker Headlines. Let's get into number one. It was let's have some takeaways. It was a strange Saturday on Stadium Drive, as I think you used the phrase on your Sunday column. It felt at times like a misuse of the Great Temple.
Yeah, I heard that from somebody. It's what I found on this was you got varying opinions. I heard that you hear from some hardcore football people that are like, what are we doing? Then I heard from like Terrell Farley, the all-time Nebraska linebacker great. He thought it was fun. I thought the players, if you think, and we should always think about the players themselves. And I thought they had fun. I thought the players had fun. And I think that part's really important. I think that Nebraska's marketing people, the people that had to put this show on, they were put in a kind of a precarious position because initially it was, there's not going to be any football played, but we have to come up with something. And then Coach Rule kind of changed course, and I was glad he did, and he included some football in it. But that probably that had to change the presentation a little bit. So it was a challenge for Nebraska, and I thought it ended up okay. I mean, I think it's probably a one-off, though, right?
Yeah,
I think we'll see this again. Do you?
Of the fun in games, the coolest part to me were the quarterbacks throwing the footballs in the basketball hoops.
Okay.
I mean, just to see Dylan Raiola sink one.
Yeah, it was fun. That was fun.
I mean, that was a skill. But the constructive criticism I would have on some of the skills things going on is everybody was blocking it.
Yeah, you couldn't.
And so you had to watch it on the big screen board. But if there's like a way to like let the people doing the skills like have plenty of room and not kind of be so close, because I do think if you were in the stadium, it would probably be hard to see everything. But the big screen board is up there for that reason too, to see a lot of those things. Yeah, I've been to a lot of football camps where when the one-on-ones are going on, you tell the people, hey, move out of the way so the people in the crowd can see the one-on-ones. When they're surrounding the bench presses and things, it was hard to kind of know what was going on.
It was like, again, I think this will be the one and only time we see this. I talked to Troy Dannon during the competition that you were involved in. And Dannon said there's momentum. There's momentum towards bringing another school here or going to another school. I think that's definitely going to be on the table before next spring. I don't know that it'll happen, but he brought it up. I mean, Troy brought that up, and I was like, okay, that would be great. Now he kind of envisioned it more of like the NFL does, where they practice against each other. I think to sell it, you'd have to say, oh, we'll practice a couple times, but at the end of one of them, we're going to scrimmage. And if that was a team from around here, be it Kansas State or Missouri or whoever, Iowa State, by the way, with all the Nebraska kids, that would be kind of fun, right?
He said one of the keys, though, is to avoid like airfare and hotel.
Right.
Like, I mean, in a perfect world, you play something like at 1 or 2 o'clock, so the team you're playing can just bus in
and bus out, and you don't spend $150,000
because bringing the show on the road with a hotel and the food and I mean, they're not just
be done.
Though. They're not just buying like Subway box lunch meals to feed play. I mean, like it's a big operation to, bring a Division I team, and in this type of deal, you'd bring everybody.
And Troy said the energy in the stadium was good for this, and I'd say that's true. I think it was. I think it was fine. I just don't think you'd want to do this every year. It drew okay, right? Okay. What would you say?
Well, they distributed 11,000 tickets.
Yeah, how many?
And I would say like 8.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I've done a lot of high school football championship games over the last 15 years where I worked in the stadium, and the crowd size reminded me of what you would see for a Class A state championship game. I mean, that was about what it was. And generally that crowd size is around 8.
Yeah. And I thought the crowd, again, I thought if you were there, I think you felt pretty good about it. I mean, you can kind of see in our photos, it wasn't a bad crowd. Probably about what I expected.
Here's the reality, though. There's a big difference between getting 60, 70,000, 80,000 versus 10,000.
Oh.
And there's a big dollar difference.
Yeah.
And guess who is looking for money? Athletic directors everywhere.
Right. And again, see, some of this we're in a strange time in college football. And I think you have to include that in the context of this discussion. It's just odd. And everybody's kind of at a loss of what to do. Coach Rule didn't like the idea. He said he didn't like the idea of putting his best players out there for everybody to see because of tampering. Now I get it. The portal's closed, but they still, I mean, tampering isn't closed, right?
So the portal,
is tampering ever closed?
Well, what you could do is like go do what Mac Markway did and just show up to a school unrecruited and enroll.
But you could be a school and get in somebody's ear whether the portal's open or not, right?
It's harder though, because you can't legally recruit them until they're in the portal. But you can't. There's no portal to enter.
Right.
I get so that. If you go to a new school, you couldn't be recruited, and you'd have to just enroll on your own.
Okay.
So I do think there are some guardrails. Like Friday, the portal closed, but there are some teams that might have waited until Friday late night to put their portal stuff in, or kids, and those schools might wait until Monday morning to submit, and it's 48 hours. So we might see a few more portal names. We will.
You think so?
Not here, but everywhere.
Oh.
That could trickle Tuesday and Wednesday from like late Friday entries. And
we thought there'd be at least one more, didn't we?
Well, the Friday entries, like you'll see some of those maybe not come out till Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
Like
I wouldn't be surprised if there's 1 or 2 more from Nebraska.
And there hasn't been, which is kind of crazy. But I will say the other big winner of the weekend, I'm not surprised by this, it was the garage sale.
Yes.
I mean,
100.
That
3,000 people.
That thing was crazy. And I'm walking in the stadium at like, I guess 1:30, and I just see guys like rolling down office chairs down Stadium Drive.
Surplus sale.
Yeah.
It's a surplus sale is what it was. And they had everything from big leather chairs to, I talked to somebody who got some Adidas. You know what Stan Smith Adidas tennis shoes are? They're very kind of stylish. You could get baseball gloves. I thought the baseball glove, there was a lot of
$40 for, high-end Adidas baseball gloves.
Really?
Yeah. But, inevitably you do get kind of the underbelly of the Facebook market world at these things where you get these guys that hoard.
Yeah.
Because this is what they do for a living. Yeah. And, so if you go on Facebook Market, some of our users on HuskerOnline, some of those gloves are being listed for $250.
Oh, God, really?
The John Cook bobbleheads were also a hot item to snatch. They were $10, and I think they're being sold for $100 on Marketplace.
Really? You people will buy a John Cook bobblehead for $100?
Well, I mean, you're creating a store essentially, and that's what some people do for a side hustle or a living. I mean, maybe not a living in all cases, but more of a. But yeah, and there's nothing you can do to stop that.
No, of course not. I mean, it's fine. I mean, but anyway, yeah, that was. I mean, I'd say that was a success. I bet the volleyball match against Kansas was.
Oh, that was a home run.
Yeah, home run. There was a lot of elements of the day that you'd say were good. And that's it. Again, now I could be dead wrong on this one-off take, but I'd be surprised if we saw the same thing next year.
I'll say I think John Cook to Danny Kelly, Busboom Kelly will be one of the smoothest transitions we've seen at Nebraska. I
mean,
you think about, when Nebraska's gone from, I want to say a dynasty, but a really high level coach, it's not always easy. Like think about Dave Van Horn to Mike Anderson.
No, we've seen a lot.
Well, Mike Anderson got to the CWS, but like that was not a smooth one.
No, it wasn't.
Obviously Osborne to Solich.
Rough.
And look, even Osborne at the start of his career, he dealt with rocky waters until he finally beat Oklahoma.
I mean, Frank was 58-19, so it wasn't. I never liked to portray that as a debacle. He was 10-3 in his last season.
The 9-4
and 3.
The 9-4 season he had his first year. I mean, he took a lot of heat for that when you think about it.
Yeah, out of the gate. Remember they played Louisiana Tech, and Louisiana Tech.
Troy Edwards, Tim Rattay
put a big number on him, So yeah, it got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but he played for a national title, won a. I mean, they were again 58-19.
But 58-19. I do think Bus Boom Kelly, it's going to be up there as one of the more success. It could be because she has everything at her disposal.
I think you're right. I mean, I don't want to. I just don't think you want to put a stand. I mean, they won one exhibition match, so I mean, I don't want to go too far into that conversation. But my gut tells me you're probably right.
I mean, just what she has to work with the resources, the players,
momentum in the program,
and all the coaches are back. Other than, I mean, Jordan Larson moved on, but Kelly Hunter is back, Jalen Reyes is back, and so it's really. And she had coached on that staff at one point before, so it's about as seamless as it's going to get. I think.
I think so.
But yeah, you want to see how she handles some pressure this year when.
Oh, God, yeah. It's a tough conference, Sean. That's why I don't disagree with you, but I'm not going full bore into, she'll just match what Cook did. I don't know. I mean, it's a tough league. There's a lot of programs now that have risen. I don't know why we're talking this much volleyball, but have risen to national prominence that when I covered the team in the 90s, you didn't hear about.
No, we're just talking about the weekend. So
yeah.
I don't want to get too, you're right. I don't want to get
like Pitt, all of a sudden Pittsburgh is someone to deal with. Louisville, where Bus Boom Kelly was. All these teams that are now really good weren't in the 90s. You didn't really hear much about them. And now, so there's a lot to deal with. It's tough.
All right. Before we go to headline 2, Husker Online headlines brought to you by Crani-Yum Energy Drinks. Crani-Yum nootropic energy drinks are founded by 2 lifelong Nebraskans and Husker fans based out of Fremont. Has Crani-Yum is a unique new type of energy drink with highly dosed nootropics that enhance mental clarity and focus with just 150 milligrams of naturally sourced caffeine. It's sugar-free, naturally flavored, no artificial colors, making it healthier to most of the other energy drinks on the market. It comes in 3 great flavors. You can buy in stores at your local Hy-Vees in the health market area. And that's like the when you go to Hy-Vee, they have kind of the organic section of the store, and the energy drinks and the protein drinks are all. It's right. I've seen them by Hy-Vee. Was in there yesterday. They had Crani-Yum there on Old Cheney, or you could go to drinkcranium.com. Use the promo code HuskerOnline, and you'll get 10% off your order. Again, that's drinkcranium.com. Promo code HuskerOnline and get 10% off your order of Crani-Yum.
Did you hammer a Crani-Yum before you fielded that punt?
No, I should have, though.
That would have probably been a good idea.
I was on the scramble, though. We had the first communion and the party at my house.
It was a scramble.
And I had to get out of my suit, get that. And then we had to go back to Lincoln Pius.
That's a day.
I heard of then. I mean,
that's a day.
I heard about that from so many people. The drop immediately.
Yeah.
Everywhere I went, it was quite a Saturday, Sunday for me.
It's over now.
It's over. And again, we had a great experience doing it. Let's go to headline number 2. We learned plenty during spring ball, the main takeaways. I mean, I'll start with this. I do think they've got an offense that seems assembled at this point that could have a chance to put up some of the biggest numbers we've seen by far under Matt Rule.
Okay. We're always keep it real. I agree with you only to a point. I think the passing numbers.
Yards and points.
Yeah. I think that I'm convinced that this is going to be that they're going to throw the ball really well. I'm unconvinced about the run game.
They were a 51 to 49 run pass ratio a year ago. Where do you envision that ratio this year?
A little more pass oriented.
So you think it could be more like 55-45?
Yeah, something like that.
52-48?
I mean, I think you only really have – okay, I don't like to talk – Quentin Ives is just unproven as a backup running back. He's 6 carries, 7 yards. That's all I got to say. I don't feel like I need to be apologetic about it. He's unproven. They have Emmett Johnson, but how hard can you lean on him? We all know how physical the Big Ten gets, and you're playing Michigan and Michigan State right out of the gate, right? Michigan State is not projected to finish high in the Big Ten, but I will tell you, when Michigan State comes into the stadium, you'll say, look at their linemen. I guarantee you'll say, look at the linemen.
Yeah, the reality is just look at the draft. I mean, how many draft picks did Maryland have?
6.
And, if you're kind of a traditionalist Nebraska fan, you always kind of just hold your nose up against a team like Maryland.
Not now.
Nebraska hasn't had 6 draft picks since 2011.
Yeah, there you go.
And
there you go.
That's what you're facing in this league.
Right. Michigan State, I've just covered the league. Sean, I'm 58 years old. I've watched college football for 50 years. You don't see Michigan State with little linemen.
No, these are well-heeled programs
Right.
with well-trained and well-fed players.
Right. I mean, they're going to come in here, and when they come out of the tunnel, you're going to say, oh, God. Aiden Childs, their quarterback, not the greatest, a little erratic, but they'll be strong up front. So what I'm saying is, but I have a lot. I'm going to tell you something. I have a lot of confidence in Dylan, a lot. And I have a lot of confidence in that receiver core. Ja'Cory Barney, I have a lot of confidence in Ja'Cory Barney.
O-line,
a lot of confidence.
Pritchett.
Now, I mean, I was really impressed with Elijah Pritchett on Saturday. His first interviews with us, engaged. He's going to be the left tackle. They would not put him in front of that many media if he wasn't the left tackle. And I liked what I heard from him. We talked to Henry Latovsky. Latovsky's he's a very good Big Ten lineman.
Maybe the right tackle.
Could be the right tackle. Yeah. So, I like what Donovan Raiola's doing. There's Pritchett right there. I like what Donovan Raiola's doing up front, and they have some depth now. They could. One of the big stories, if we're talking about what we learned during spring ball, Sean, I think the biggest story, correct me if I'm wrong, Justin Evans taking over the starting center job.
Making it kind of a no-doubter.
That's it. That's why it's the biggest story in my mind. The most important development, we'll say, was Justin Evans nailing down the center job.
Yeah, let's call it what it is right now.
It's over.
4 starters are probably locked in right now. Pritchett, Spindler, Evans, Latovsky.
Yep.
May the best man win to be the 5th starter.
Right.
That's probably
see what it looks like.
And to go coach speak. That's probably what it's going to be.
And you know what? I like that. I'd like that 4 right there.
Get old, stay old, as they once said in the Big Ten. Now the defense,
more questions.
I just think I like the back 7 though. I know the secondary didn't have a great year, but I think there's a lot there.
Uh-huh.
I think the linebacker, I think the second level is the strongest part of the defense.
But it's so dependent on the front being good, because we've seen it in Nebraska. We saw it. You've referenced Corey McEwen before. Do you remember what Corey McEwen said? He had a big year one year, then the next year he was having trouble. Why? Because linemen were getting on him. I think he was saying it was 1.5 seconds when they were really going good. Then it got down to 0.5, and they were on him. I don't know. Those numbers are loose numbers, but what I'm trying to convey here is that there were offensive linemen getting on him way too fast. And
we don't have time to look.
Yeah, and it was clear. You could see it from the press box. So how do they hold up front without Ty Robinson, without Nash Upmaker, without Jamari Butler? How do they hold up? I don't know. I have no idea. Now it could be better for all I know. Well, I'd be surprised if it's better, but it could be, right?
And those were good players.
Really good.
The reality still, though, was this team only had 2 draft picks last year. Now that we know that. So, we tend to obviously give the veterans and the starters a lot of praise here. but the NFL data doesn't lie. So can you replace guys that weren't drafted? You would hope so.
Yeah.
And those were old advanced players.
But Nash was close to draft.
No, I know that, but that's been Nebraska football in a nutshell.
Yeah, it was. And let's swing it the other way. Ty Robinson was selected in the 4th round, 111th pick, but that was he was the Eagles only drafted in the 4th. They got it. They were going to get him in the 3rd round, but they had some trades that pushed back their number a little bit. He was a 3rd round pick is what I'm saying. Ty.
And to put Ty in perspective, he played in the bowl game, which a lot of people were like, oh, maybe he won't, maybe he will. Well, the 2 guys from Boston College that chose not to play, they were both 2nd rounders.
Oh God, really? I didn't see that.
The pass rusher and the right tackle.
Is that right? They were both 2nd rounders. There you go.
I mean, the NFL, those guys, obviously they know.
Sean, I do like Nebraska's back 7. I'm not sure I agree with you that the linebacking core's the strength. And I know people probably get confused when we keep talking about the secondary being a strength because it struggled last year, but it's going to look a little different now, right? Buford, for instance, probably is safe.
Singleton's first full offseason he's had healthy.
Yeah, Buford is safety, Singleton healthy, Hartzog probably a safety, Sierra Wright now is settled in as a starting corner, whereas he got here in July last year. Took him a little bit. And then the other corner we don't know, but there's a lot of competition.
Murray Sanders, maybe Andrew Marshall.
Yeah, and I like the way those guys look. We shouldn't forget about Marquise Buford's brother either.
Donovan Jones.
Yeah. Who Marquise Buford's brother helped?
Mario.
I watched Mario just jacking around on the field the other day. He's really athletic. We forget about guys like Bly Hill. Sean, the value of that day to me was seeing guys like Bly Hill up close. That's a 6'4" corner. I mean, that is a good looking corner.
And his dad was a 10-year NFL vet.
If Bly Hill can get healthy, he's going to help.
The genetics and he's got it.
Is he healthy?
Yes.
He was
healthy late last year.
He looked healthy to me. They were throwing the ball. The corners were throwing and the safeties were throwing the ball around on the field and catching it one-handed. And there is a lot of athleticism on that team. I mean, I was watching Hartzog and the younger Buford and Bly Hill, Sierra Wright, a couple other guys. And I'm just like, man. And the other thing I want to say is I'm a huge Hartzog fan. He takes so much heat in his fan base. I bet he's a starter at safety. That kid is extremely athletic.
He's got a little, Courtney Grigsby was that way.
Yeah.
He was the small corner. Teams picked on him. And so
would he be better off at safety?
No, I'm just saying, like, Courtney Grigsby, when he was here, was like a Hartzog. Like, the fans kind of picked on him as the problem at times because everybody went at him.
Oh, I get it.
And that's what they do to Hartzog. They see the smaller corner. They match him up with tight ends. Like USC matched that guy up on him the whole game. Remember this last year?
Oh, of course. And I know he was vulnerable at times, but would it help to have him at safety a little bit?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't think I think they've got enough now that the corner spots are set where they don't need him at corner.
Right. But they have so much respect for him in the program. And I hope people understand that. And that's kind of partly where I'm coming from. He gets a lot of respect in the program. So I don't know. I think that the linebackers, you're talking about Vincent Shavers, you're talking about Javen Wright, you're talking about Marquise Watson Trent. They're very athletic. And I saw Marquise Watson Trent, and we've wondered about his size a little bit. He's fine. I stood right next to Marquise Watson.
Desan McCullough.
Those are dudes now. I mean, I get where you're
Gage
coming
Stenger.
from. Yeah, I get where you're coming from when you just talk from a pure athleticism standpoint. That is a good-looking group. And I want to emphasize Marquise Watson Trent, he's probably 5'10", which is a little small. But just in terms of strength and build, he's a linebacker. He's a pure linebacker.
I was talking to somebody within the program Saturday, and they were like, it's funny, when Tony they had that Stephon Bradford.
Right.
He was kind of supposed to be a guy
from Syracuse,
but he just couldn't play at the high level needed. Just didn't work. And he went over to Florida State with Tony. And they're like, yeah, Watson Trent is built like him, which means he didn't have a great frame or body, but totally different, like in terms of his instincts and the way he plays the game.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. That back seven, that's probably the strength, but I'd prefer the strength.
Linebacker is a position though where you can be fooled by measurables.
Yeah,
like some of the greatest linebackers in this program's history weren't very big.
Right, you can say that in the NFL too.
Levante David. I mean, he's going to be one of the 5 leading tacklers or 10 leading tacklers in NFL history at like 6'1".
Yep. Oh, was he even 6 foot? Levante was he even 6 foot?
I mean, he was small.
Yeah, I was going to say 5'11". I'd have to look at what he was listed, but
all right. Well, before we move it into headline 3, Husker headlines brought to you by Huel energy drinks and nutrition drinks. You know, we've had Huel. We've been drinking it all month. It's an outstanding product because number one, it gives you natural energy. It's full of protein, nutrients, comes in several different great flavors, pre-made in black bottles that you can just shake up where you're going, or you can, mix your own at home as well. But the benefit is it holds you over. The drinks are almost like a meal, the way they fill you up, give you energy, and maybe get you to lunch or maybe help you get to dinner without having to eat a whole lot. And you get great nutrients and balance out of that as well. So if you've never tried Huel, and I know Sipple you're all in on Huel.
Oh, and I'm skeptical about everything, as you know, and I was really impressed with this. Like if you drink one at 7 a.m, you really don't need to eat till afternoon.
And your energy level
is high.
Like it's not like you're starving.
No, not at all. It is the real deal. It is serious. It helped my workout. You can tell. Look at me. I look like Bruce Jenner.
I was around some companies. You've lost weight. People said that to you Saturday.
Well, yeah. But yeah, this stuff is really good. It's really good.
Look, if you've never tried it, we've got a great deal with HuskerOnline.com. Go to Huel.com, use the promo code Husker, and you'll get 15% off your order plus a free gift using this code. Again, go to Huel.com as a new customer, and you'll get 15% off and a free gift with the promo code Husker. Thanks to Huel for sponsoring us here on Husker Online Headlines. All right, number 3, Ty Robinson, Thomas Fidone, hear their names called in the draft. What at one time felt like was going to be maybe 4 or even 5 guys drafted turned into 2. And unfortunately, it kind of took on the feel of what we've experienced for the last several years in terms of the lack of overall draft picks. The Big Ten Conference had 71. The SEC had 79. They comprise 150 of the 257 players drafted.
Yeah, I mean, the big flex, which is, come on. I mean, that's what's going to happen now in this new world. It's going to be even more with players transferring up to those leagues. You're going to see the dominance of the SEC and the Big Ten stay this way or become even more dominant in the draft, just the way the setup is in college football now. Ty, again, I was clunky in saying it before. He went in the 4th round to the Eagles. They were going to take him 96th. He went 111th. They were going to take him 96th, which would have made him a 3rd round pick. They had a couple trades that pushed it back, but he goes to the number 1 rated defense in the NFL last year. They're the top defense in the NFL, loaded, obviously, an organization that has a ton of momentum. They speak about Ty very highly. He'll fit right in there very well. He's versatile. I mean, I saw their assistant GM. I saw an interview with them, and he talked about Ty's versatility. He can play all over the line. He can rush he can rush out of, off the edge. You've seen that, Sean, but he's also got that big athletic frame. He can work inside and get to a quarterback. And he's great against the run, so he could probably stay on the field.
What a great deal for him too, to go there with Cam Jurgens.
Yeah,
the two of them are only 1 year apart, and that's crazy to think that Cam Jurgens is going into now, I believe, his 4th NFL season.
Yep.
And they're only 1 year apart in school. But that's COVID football in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Where you're going to get the Ty Robinsons, and then you're going to get guys like Cam Taylor-Britt and Cam Taylor that were only in college for a few years and went pro.
That's exactly right. And I tell you what, I saw an interview with Cam too, and he was thrilled, obviously. And I think it helps a guy like Ty that Cam's there. And this is just a gut feeling that in that organization, they see how well Cam has adapted, and they probably see some similar traits in Ty, and they know what Cam came up in, and that's what Ty's coming from. It probably gives them a little confidence, and maybe was a factor in drafting him that high. This is what we expected with Ty, right? We expected about the 3rd or 4th round. Fedoni, we thought a little earlier. Thomas Fedoni,
5th round, maybe
Yeah.
6th. I mean,
he had to wait till the 7th, but I think he went to a place that's really good for him. You haven't heard of their tight ends, Sean. Theo Johnson. Have you heard of Theo Johnson?
and NFL teams usually carry 3 or 4 tight ends, right?
Yeah. Have you heard of Theo?
No.
He had 29 catches, 1 touchdown. They have a guy named Daniel Bellinger. It was their 2nd tight end last year from San Diego State. He had like 14 catches. Fedoni, I mean, I guarantee he's not probably pretty close, if not, maybe he could exceed their level. He went, I'm telling you, Sean, he went to a place where he can work his way into that.
Well, then Isaiah Nayor
Yeah,
signed with the San Francisco 49ers. Ben Scott signed undrafted free agent with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Linebacker John Bullock also to Tampa. Jamal Banks goes to Baltimore with Nash Hutmacher. So the Ravens take 2 Huskers.
God, that's a good fit for Banks. I'd like that. It's going to be hard, though. I mean,
Isaac Gifford to the Carolina Panthers. So you hope all these guys can get an opportunity, A, to get into training camp, and B, at minimum, make a practice squad, at minimum, and then fight for an active spot. Right. I think I think a lot of these guys have a great chance to do that.
I think so. I mean, they got their foot in the door, but it's really hard. I mean, it's some of it depends on situation, what's at your position, all of that. But
no word on Tommy Hill, no word on Bryce Benhart yet.
Ah.
And a lot of times, if you don't get the undrafted free agent deal, which is important because they can only take so many of those, and you're guaranteed a training camp spot, I believe, if you get an undrafted free agent deal. You're signed to the team, you'll be in training camp. The hard route in is if you get an invite to the rookie mini camp.
Yeah, it's really hard.
I mean, you're like 1 in 50 chances of making the team.
Right. But that UDFA, you can make it. The best example I can think of off the top of my head is Lamar Jackson.
Jack Stahl.
Those guys got bypassed. Did Jack Stahl got bypassed in the draft?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I know Lamar Jackson did because I remember distinctly.
Did Luke Gifford get drafted, or was he an undrafted free agent as well?
I can't remember.
JoJo Dolman was undrafted and made active rosters. So
they made it.
I mean, look, the NFL still is about a lot of things, and one of them is to find value in players. And if they can find foot soldiers, undrafted free agents, to do the duties that need to be done to help their high-paid guys, they're going to sign those guys and give you an opportunity. And that, if you can make it to that point and then get to a second contract, that's where the NFL really changes your life.
Yeah. So
Cam Jurgens, I mean, his life's forever changed.
Oh, he just signed, I think he got $39.4 million guaranteed.
And then like 60 some total.
Yeah. $39.4 million will change your life a little bit.
He's got a house, I know, in Lincoln.
Oh, he does.
Like for the off season. It's over kind of by St. Way in the southeast part of town that he has. And, so it's a place for him to come back, and he trains here. Like one of the cool things about that new facility, they have a locker room space just for the former Huskers in the NFL.
That is super cool.
So they all get
that is super.
So they all get their own locker.
Yeah.
And when they come in there and they get access to the building, Rule wants those guys in there training.
You bet he does. And I didn't know that. And I love that those guys get their space. They did a lot for the program, and it is great for the young guys to see those guys in the building.
Come in there, get their workouts in.
God bless you, Sean.
All right. Before we go to headline 4, Husker on the headlines, brought to you by Rhoback. If you're not familiar with Rhoback clothing, it's elite clothing, not for just men, but women as well. Polo shirts, quarter zips. They even have team apparel. They have Husker apparel of Rhoback as well. Workout shorts, t-shirts, high-end stuff here from Rhoback. I was able to pick up some just last week. Got a couple polos, a quarter zip, and immediately my wife's like, you better order some more of that. It fits you good. It looks good. It wears well. They have a lot of pattern designs and obviously just solid color apparel, swimsuits. I mean, about everything you can imagine on their website at Rhoback. But we've got a promo code for our users. Use the code Husker20 at Rhoback.com, and you'll get 20% off your order of Rhoback. Thanks to Rhoback, for sponsoring us here on HuskerOnline Headlines.
Those are good looking polos.
You might have to get a swimsuit if we go back to Hawaii.
I'm not getting a swim.
little too much information there on this Monday morning.
Are we going back to Hawaii?
Maybe. We'll see.
Perhaps.
I mean, a lot can
How many
change.
guys are in that right now?
They'll probably have, they don't have that many recruits yet. So
we're talking about the Polynesian Bowl at this point.
I mean, Dayton could be out there.
Dayton, Riola. That would be a nice trip. We probably need 2 more guys.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We got a lot of hay to shovel in the barn before we get to that point. Okay. We got to water the bamboo.
Okay, Donovan.
As Donovan said. But headline 4, Shedeur Sanders' free fall ranks as one of the most intriguing draft stories in recent memory. Wow. I mean, look, I think when he wasn't picked in the first round, I don't know about you, but I'm like, okay, he'll go early in the second.
Well, the Cleveland Browns had the first pick. The Cleveland Browns had the first pick of the second round. And I thought, okay, perfect. That's a good place for him to go. When they didn't pick him, I thought something's not right. Okay.
Well, I thought Pittsburgh would go for him.
Yeah, you wondered about Pittsburgh. So here's what I would sort of encapsulate in my mind. This encapsulates how odd this story is. Going into the draft, could you have conceived a scenario where Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders were drafted by the same team going into the draft? No way. Cleveland Browns picked them both. They got Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round. Then they took Shedeur in the 5th. And then, so that adds, so what they have, Sean.
Joe Flacco's there.
They have Kenny Pickett is probably the odds-on pick to be the starter. Joe Flacco could be. And then you have Dillon Gabriel.
And Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson's hurt. He's got Achilles. He's out. He's out this
That's
year.
quite the crew, though.
They have 6 guys. I mean,
just the stories of those 5 guys.
Yeah,
like the
5 guys.
The different path that they've all taken.
Yeah, it's really odd. Now, Pickett tends to get overlooked. He's 13-4 in his last 17 games. I mean, he's done all right. They got him from Philadelphia. He wasn't a starter in Philadelphia.
He was in Pittsburgh as a starter before that.
Right.
Though.
So I think Pickett is the guy. And then there's Flacco. So you have these kind of veterans. Pickett's a younger veteran, 26 years old. And then you have this kind of sideshow, this Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders. How are we going to do this with the rookie sideshow, right?
I would take Sanders over Gabriel for the record.
So would I.
And
I would. But why did he fall? Why did he fall, Sean?
I listened to a lot of stuff, and Tiki Barber was on WFAN, one of the great sports talk radio stations in this country in New York City. And he spoke about that, and he gave great insight. And Tiki Barber said, when you bring in a guy that already kind of has everything like he has, like his NIL is better than a lot of what NFL players are making.
He's a millionaire.
And everything else, like I think there's a worry that you're going to not have the grind or the drive to
I could see that. But he's not the only millionaire quarterback that got drafted.
No, but his level is different. He was the highest paid maybe in the country because of his name and his connections. But yeah, just that whole story with the NIL and everything and the interview process, how poor evidently a lot of these interviews went, where he had his headphones around his neck. And
well, I thought what he was doing in a broad sense was acting like he was going to get picked in the 5th or the top 5 picks before it happened. He was acting like a top 5 pick before he was picked. I think he felt in his mind he was going to be a top 10, top 5 pick no matter what. And it was acting that way, that's dangerous to do that. And he did it. And then now here's the thing now he's got a chip on his shoulder. And I'm like you. I like him better than Tyler Shaw. You know who I'm talking about? Louisville quarterback. I liked him as a player.
If I were Dion, I would say, all right, the show's over. No cameras, no bling. Get in there and just kick butt. Go in there and grind. And I don't know if that's
a lot
possible.
to ask of him. Yeah.
But just
no bling, really? I mean, I'm with you, but can a, what do they say? Can a tiger change his stripes? Or I don't know. I don't know if you can say.
But I can't. The thing that's going to be unique is every locker room this kid has ever walked in from the time he was in youth football to Colorado. He's kind of been the guy of the locker room. He's not going to be that way.
Myles Garrett's on that team.
And there's no way in Cleveland that locker room is just going to hand him leadership.
No. You got Myles Garrett coming at you in practice every day too, right? Well, that's another question I have in my mind. How do you have a quarterback battle in the NFL with 4 guys? How do you do it?
Can you imagine the preseason games, though? How many eyeballs are going to be watching a Cleveland Browns preseason game this year?
A lot.
I mean, it will be more than a lot of college football games normally would draw. I mean, if they put a Browns preseason game on real TV where you can find it, you know, there'll be a lot of curious eyes to see how Shedor's doing.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking not only fans, by extension, of course, you have the NFL Network, Adam Schefter. All those guys are going to be all over that.
Got Mel Kiper.
Oh boy.
I've met Mel. I like Mel.
Yeah.
I think he's a pioneer of what we do. And
he had a bad week.
But that was a tough deal for Mel Kiper.
He took it personally, it seemed like, because he had Shedeur really ranked high, right? Had him going really early, right? And he couldn't understand the drop, and he just wouldn't let it go. Just would not let it go. And it got kind of uncomfortable on the set, you know. I don't know why he fixated on it quite that much. Somebody needed to get to Mel and say, hey, Mel, you got to spin out of this now. You got to get out of this. I mean, there's a whole other draft. You know, there's all these other guys you can talk about. You don't have to focus on this all the time. But nobody got in his ear, it seems like.
They just kind of let it, because it made for good TV.
Yeah, cringy a little bit. But.
And there's some like draft enthusiasts, like our friend Michael Severe, they don't watch the ESPN draft coverage. They prefer the NFL Network.
I prefer Kiper, frankly.
Out of just habit, I keep it on ESPN.
Yeah. I don't prefer the NFL Network. I prefer ESPN, ABC.
Yeah, was it 2 different shows this year again?
First round is it's ABC and ESPN, and then I don't know about the rest of it. I watch the first round. I don't watch the rest of it. Sean, for a long time I covered the draft like hard as the beat writer at the Lincoln Journal-Star. It was quite back in the day. Think about covering it back in the day, Sean. Like in the 90s.
You had to be on.
Oh God, it was intense coverage. You know what, back then, you know how much it's changed? We used to call the guys. I mean, we used to have we'd get the numbers the week of we'd get the numbers.
And when they got picked, you'd interview them.
We'd interview them right away. I mean, we'd be among the first to interview them. And, it would be sometimes a scramble to get guys. But think about back then when you're covering like Lawrence Phillips getting drafted in the top 10, Jason Peter, Grant, on down the line.
The difference was it was all on a Saturday.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, the whole draft.
I can't even remember that, but you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, and then I think they went to a 2-day format.
I don't remember all of that, but
Back in the day, I want to say it was a Friday. They went to a Friday format where the first round and second round and third round were on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the back half, I believe, was on Saturday. Because they used to call it a day 1 or day 2. Then it went to a 3-day draft.
It went to 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a huge part of our focus, draft coverage back then. Now it seems like it's become almost an afterthought a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think
the world's changed partly.
I think in general that everywhere. I mean, I just think it's a lot easier to find it and get caught up on it than it used to be.
Yeah. That's part of it. So yeah. Now, but I love these conversations actually. If Nebraska had a first rounder though, Like if they get back into that world where we're covering first round picks, then our coverage changes, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think everybody's.
Well, they haven't had a first round pick since they've joined the Big Ten Conference, and Nebraska's entering its 15th season into the Big Ten.
Sean, 2011, Prince Amakamara.
And that was their final team. That was a Big 12 team.
Right. I want to be dealing with first round picks pretty soon. Wouldn't it be nice? Okay, he might go in the top.
You think
5.
about some of the curses that have hit Nebraska since they've joined the Big Ten. No first rounders. Until this year, only one win over Wisconsin. And then the recent dominance of the Iowa series.
Yeah.
I mean, they've just had a lot of things.
Never anticipated.
When they joined this league, now going into its 15th season this year, things that you could never have imagined were going to happen.
No first rounders. Man. Got to get a first rounder or a couple. You know, Ohio State had 14 draft picks. Oregon had 10 draft picks, Sean. Ohio State 14, Nebraska 2. Oregon 10, Nebraska 2. Who are you taking in that matchup? I mean, Nebraska pushed Ohio State to the limit, but it takes so much to do that.
And you go through who are the best draft prospects Nebraska's had since they've joined the Big Ten. Probably Levante David, Cam Taylor-Britt, Randy Gregory, Amir Abdullah, Cam Jurgens. I mean, they've had a group of second, third type round guys, which is good.
Yeah.
But they just haven't had, you know, and look, I never looked at Prince Mukamara as an elite Husker.
You didn't?
I mean, he was very good. But I don't like that. I guess.
Hold on. Do you mean what you just said?
I don't look at him as one of the all-time great corners. I think he was
Who are they? Ralph
Brown would be one of them.
Would you say Booker? Michael Booker? Would you say
Keo Craver?
Oh, come on now. You know, I'm taking Prince over Keo.
Sweeney?
No.
Okay.
Sean, you're
I'm digging.
Reel back. We're missing.
But like Cam Taylor-Britt is going to end up being a really good pro corner for a long time.
But I'm taking Prince over Cam Taylor-Britt. I think I do respect.
So
Sean.
you'd put Prince
in the elite.
In the elite.
Yeah, I would.
Bruce Pickens was the first like highly drafted true corner.
He was elite for sure. Went to the Falcons, and I top 5 pick, I believe. If you look back 1, 2, or 3. And now we've talked about this on the air, but it's worth repeating. He could backpedal as fast as some guys could run. I mean, really not much of not much of an exaggeration. There were times on film, George used to tell me that he'd be backpedaling with a receiver who was running forward, obviously. He'd be in his back pedal still. And so Bruce Pickens would be one you'd put in the elite category, but I disagree with you on that. I'd put Prince in the elite category. He was picked 19th overall, stuck in the league for a long time. Prince was a dude.
When you played high school basketball, did you backpedal run?
Yes, we did.
I still remember that. Like, it's like something you never will ever do again. But when you played like high school basketball, you did a lot of backpedal running.
Yeah, you did. Interestingly,
it made me think about that.
Yeah.
Bruce Pickens' backpedal skills.
Oh, he could backpedal, baby.
All right, let's go. Before we go into headline 5, odds and ends, I do want to announce on Thursday night, again, we're going to be
Thursday night this week,
May 1st, Thursday night, 6:00 live show at Zipline at 2100 Magnum Circle in Lincoln, which is just off of Highway 77 and West O Street. It's their original brewery where they made the beer. It's now a reopened, refurbished tap room bar. We will be there kind of kicking off the grand opening weekend, and we'll wrap up spring ball and share a lot more great info.
Okay. So we'll have a lot to talk about.
And you'll get a Zip Light, but they do make margaritas there, Sip.
No, I'm just going to have a Zip Light. That's all I need.
And there will be some food. I'll get more details to share here on some of it, but prizes as well. They give out a lot of great Zipline prizes, but we'll be there 6 to 7 for the show Thursday. The Harley rides will be out back with Sip.
There'll be no Harley ride.
No Harley rides.
Nobody wants to jump on the back of my Harley. Okay. especially dudes. I mean, I don't even know if
I'm talking about the young ladies.
we can. Well, maybe some other year we'll do that. But we will have a good time. I'd like to see a big crowd.
Yeah, we'll hopefully draw well, and I need to promote it more again this week as well as we get more details. But that's the plan.
Stick that on a message board.
It's on the board.
Okay.
We've had it out, but join us, and I won't field any punts out there either. I'll just tell you that.
Or we could.
We could.
In a parking lot, right?
Maybe field punts.
Get a jugs
machine.
Get a jugs machine out there. Not a jugs gun, a jugs machine. They were. That was the thing that struck me about that. Those balls are going high and long. I mean, they didn't take it easy on you guys.
No, it had hang time.
Yeah. All right. Odds and ends.
Odds and ends. Did you happen to catch James Franklin?
I did see that. John with the fan at their spring game. Why does James do that? He's always, you notice James Franklin's always John with fans.
Yeah, he
kind of got rabbit ears.
I don't understand though, like why you would do that at a spring game. Like what somebody
right.
What somebody would say at a spring game that would kind of trigger, James Franklin to get so upset.
Well, what I saw on TikTok was it said that somebody called him a fraud, and that like they were saying you're a fraud. Now, he's not a fraud.
No.
He's done well at Penn State. They haven't well, this past year, they kind of went to the next level, and they'll get number 1 votes this year. A lot of them probably. If I were a voter, they'd get mine. I think Penn State's ready to once again be in the playoff and make a strong push.
Oregon, Ohio State are going to be up there.
I don't know if Ohio State is. I don't get that. Why? I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction. It's Ohio State.
And here's James Franklin.
Here it is right here.
And by the way, Penn State evidently drew a crowd of around 60,000. So they drew well, is what the reports
there
were.
He is. I don't get that.
His whole he's done this before where he goes up to the person and tells them, "You want to come on down here and we'll talk?"
Right. Oh yeah, that's his shtick. He did it coming off the field last year in a game. Same type of thing.
And in your mind, I'm going to show this guy up, and everyone's going to say, "Look at this goofball." But you, the coach, kind of end up looking like the goofball, even if the guy's not being respectful.
I don't know what to make. There's a part of me. I'm going to tell you something, Sean. There is a part of me that kind of. I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but if somebody's yelling at you that you're a fraud, you just block it out and keep going. I guess that's what you should do. To challenge somebody like that, it probably doesn't bother me quite as much as it bothers some people.
It's kind of like, though, yelling at the lion in the lion cage, and the lion's not going to be able to get you. And that's kind of what that is. Like that guy, the fan is kind of teasing the animal in the cage, not thinking the animal is going to get through the cage and get him.
And then the animal kind of comes towards you, and then it gets a little real, right? Like then the tiger starts like he lunges at you. Even if there's a cage there, you're kind of like, ooh. Okay.
Well, like in Jason Kelsey had his incident where that fan got in his face and he went 0 to 60 quickly.
Got ugly.
Like he
smashed his phone.
And a lot of people praised him.
I know.
I mean, so I think a lot of it depends on who you are, how you kind of market and image yourself. Where Kelsey was praised for kind of like standing up to kind of a bully or a cell phone pirate that was trying to, get a clip.
I think what somewhat enters into this conversation too is if you're like Franklin and you're an accomplished head coach who's made a lot of money, you don't worry too much about stuff like that. Like, oh, you're going to fire me for that? Okay. I'll take my 40 million out the door,
As long as you don't hit the guy.
Oh, yeah, you ain't got to hit him.
Or grab him, because then you could be fired for cause.
It's an unpopular take I have on this, I think, but it doesn't, for some reason in this world where people feel so emboldened to yell things at you and in some cases write stuff to you on social media, biting back at them a little doesn't bother me as much as it used to. It doesn't. I mean, just because he's risen to a certain level, I don't know if he gets challenged. Maybe biting back sometimes isn't the worst thing to do. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, and people always say have thicker skin. Easier said than done.
Yeah, and I don't even know if he's showing he has thin skin. I mean, if a guy's calling you a fraud and you want to say something to him, is that really that bad? I don't know. It just depends on your outlook on it. Yeah. He's done a lot at Penn State.
Do you remember,
Sean? He's done. Look at his record.
No doubt.
So some guy in the crowd calling you a fraud, it might strike me a little bit too.
I mean, they were very close to being in the national title game.
Oh, they're loaded up, Sean.
Do you remember in 2009 at Baylor? Nebraska was playing, and their offense that year struggled. They had the best defense maybe in the country with Sue and Crick, and they started Cody Green at quarterback, and the game was like 20-3, if I remember correctly. Defensive just shut out. Kind of the offense had struggled, to put up yards and points because of the style they were playing. After that game was over, we did the press conference in like an open air concourse,
right?
So like fans could kind of overlook and see us doing it. And some guy just yells, "You suck, Watson!" like right in the middle of Pelini's press conference. And when that thing got over, Bo gets up and his head was like, he was on a swivel trying to see if he could find that guy that yelled that.
Really? I don't remember that, but that's, I don't know. The head coach was going to defend one of his assistants. I kind of like that, right? I don't know. It can be a bad look. I didn't think this was a terrible look for Franklin. It can be a bad look. It's just like anything else. You got to take each one individually and assess it.
All right. Other odds and ends. Baseball gets 2 out of 3 at Maryland.
Yeah.
After kind of blowing a 3-0 lead Friday and losing Friday, they roared back. They won 21-5 on Sunday. Softball takes 2 out of 3 at Washington. But the good news for Nebraska baseball, they appear like they're going to, as long as they stay on par, they're going to make the Big Ten tournament. And
that's important. That's good. Yeah, you don't want to miss that.
But they have a couple. They have Michigan, I think Purdue, and Minnesota.
They have a little homestand, right?
They have 2 series against lower tier Big Ten teams.
Okay.
Minnesota and Purdue, and Michigan is more of a quality middle team. So there's 9 games remaining, and you would like to think that they could win 6 games of the 9 or be right, in that category where they go into Omaha on a high note.
You can't miss the Big Ten tournament.
It's fun to go.
Yeah.
The only thing that's hard sometimes about that Big Ten tournament is the game times fluctuate so much. Because remember when they were trying to play like 4 games in a day?
Yeah, I do remember.
And they would start a game at like midnight.
Very odd.
Well,
very odd.
But they've tailored the schedule where it's not like that. But that was when they did that, and those TV guys had to be there for all the games.
Oh boy, that gets to be a grind. What else in the odds and ends market?
Well, it should be a quieter week. I know finals are around the corner at UNL. The portal closed Friday. There still could be an entry that gets put in from Friday that Nebraska, because once you receive a portal name on Friday, you have 48 hours or 2 business days then to put it in. So what will the next couple of days look like? Will there be any more portal entries? Also, what about the House settlement case? The judge, Claudia Wilkins, gave a 14-day window. So I don't know if we'll hear anything more on the future of roster sizes with that, with the Wilkins case. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. We didn't even mention Charmore Brown. As of this taping, we don't know exactly where that's going. As of this taping on Monday.
And it's kind of a 3-way battle, it appears. Nebraska and Miami, but Cal.
Stay away from Cal, Charmore. Cal's a mess.
But the Golden Bears obviously are being aggressive. Yeah, all 3 teams definitely have made a run, so we'll see where that goes. We don't want to get too deep because he will decide evidently here on Monday is what we're told at On3 Sports.
Okay.
But other odds and ends, coaches can go on the road recruiting this week.
Okay.
No head coaches on the road, but you get an average of 14 days per coach out. And so if you have 10 coaches out, that's 10 of your 140 days. So Nebraska will use these days strategically. You can do in-home visits and you can only visit a prospect one time. So you'll see Nebraska get pretty aggressive with the key players they want, or they might have multiple coaches go see one guy, because this is kind of your in-home visit before these kids commit. So this
pretty
big recruiting period that gets lost in the weeds of the transfer portal.
Good to know, Sean. Good job.
But with that, stay tuned. We'll have plenty of news, anything with the roster, and obviously baseball, basketball. There's still a lot of things going on, but stay on HuskerOnline.com. Trey Taylor as well, the quarterback out of Chicago that was here this week, 2027, making a decision. That's something to watch on Husker Online as well.
Making that?
3 days from now. So I guess he'll make it on Wednesday, I believe.
Okay.
So stay on HuskerOnline.com as Brian Munson is on top of that as well.
Okay, that's a lot. Okay, thank you, Sean.
All right. For Steve Sipple, I'm Sean Callahan signing off here for Husker Online Headlines.